is Jack Nano. I'm a professor at SUNY ESF and one of the organizers of this series. And tonight is a historic event. The Onondaga Nation is literally and figuratively returning to Onondaga Lake. Not that they ever left. But tonight they're sharing a vision with us for the future of the lake and inviting us, their neighbors, to decide how we can help achieve that vision together. In the spirit of that original treaty that was signed between the new arrivals from the Dutch country who promised this relationship of mutual respect down ship and canoe down the river of life known as the true Perreault. And this is the fourth event in our series, the Onondaga Land Rights and Our Common Future. Our next event is next week on Monday night, so please come out again. We'll focus on the Onondaga Nation's efforts to alert their neighbors to the environmental consequences and concerns and the economic and environmental threat of hydrofracking in their ancestral homeland. So come back for that. The series is sponsored by many different organizations, and I'm not going to read them, but I do want to honor them and do pay attention to who they are. It's a number of colleges and universities, and the primary organizing organization is the Neighbors of the Onondaga Nation. Take a look at their table outside. Another announcement, it's the Haudenosaunee tradition that before every gathering, every event of people, you call everyone's minds together as one to do our duty of recognizing and acknowledging and giving thanks to all the elements of the earth and of the universe that make it possible for us to be alive, to be here. And at the opening of this series back in February, Padre Sitzville gave that opening address. And we will close this series in December, and I'll come to that too. It'll be a community dance with the closing address. So we're not doing that tonight, although as you'll see, the vision that the Onondagas are presenting is in the form of the Thanksgiving address. Tonight, the speakers, you also received a copy of that vision, and take it home with you and think about it and again, consider your own responsibility and your own commitment. There are upcoming events that we want you to know about in the program. Saturday, May 1st, there is, some of you came out for the lacrosse event last time, the Onondaga Red Hawks lacrosse versus Pinewoods at the Onondaga Nation Arena. And there's also, that's Saturday, May 1st, and on Tuesday, May 4th, there's a benefit concert for the neighbors of Onondaga Nation at the Palace Theater, so do come out for that as well. I have the honor to introduce two of the Haudenosaunee leaders who will present the vision. Henry Lickers of Seneca is the science director of the Haudenosaunee Environmental Task Force. He and I go way back, actually, working on the Great Lakes together, Great Lakes United and the International Joint Commission. He's a biologist who served as on the Science Advisory Board of the International Joint Commission, looking out for the Great Lakes in North America. And Chief Jake Edwards of the Onondaga, who is a leader now who interacts with and speaks for.
You guys get these off? Why are the factories so dumping into our lakes? Anybody want?
We'll get to all of that. So I'm going to give it over to Henry now, who's going to introduce the vision.
here tonight with you, and that this honor is the vision for Onondaga Lake is something that has been worked on now for quite a while. And we've been looking to see how we would work on this with all of the people, notifying people of what we see as important. And as my friend said, it's based on the words that come before all else, because that is the framework with which we work and do all of the things that the Haudenosaunee people and how we work within the environment. At a meeting like this type, we would say that whenever we are gathered, one of us is chosen to give greetings and thanksgiving. And I would say to you that using that same thing, we are gathered here tonight in order to listen to this vision about how to have a clean Onondaga Lake. So we think about the people first, and we say that from time immemorial, our ancestors lived near the Onondaga Lake. The lake and its waters, plants, fish, and shorebirds, and animals are an intricate part of our existence. Long ago, the peacemaker brought together the 5 nations on the shores of Onondaga Lake to bury the weapons of war and form our government. The Grand Council of the Haudenosaunee Confederacy meets at Onondaga. The lake is the living sum of everything in its watershed. The fish, people, the plants, the soils, the tributaries. Onondaga Lake provides water, which should be safe for drinking. Fish and birds make their homes in and around the lake. Foods and medicinal plants grow along the shores of that lake. The lake was a place for people to fish and hunt. It was a place for children to play and swim and learn. Delegations would arrive at Onondaga for the Confederacy meetings by traveling along Seneca River to the Onondaga Lake. We are carrying out our responsibility to the lake. We have our own name for the lake, one which conveys the respect and sacredness of this place and the proper relationships with it. Someday, we hope to share this name with our neighbors, and we will work to remove the contamination from the lake and the surrounding lands. We will be sure that the lake is clean enough to drink the water, eat the fish, and clean enough for the children to play and swim in the waters. We will take our children and our grandchildren to the important places around the lake and teach them the proper names and stories for them. And on this we agree. We also honor the earth. The lands around Onondaga Lake continue to carry out their responsibilities and duties to the Mother Earth and to all things of creation. For this, we are truly thankful. Minerals present in the soils and rocks nourish life, and rich organic, wetland soils provide a home for many different plants, trees, shrubs, and a wide variety of birds and other animals. Other plants and animals live on the uplands, and the groundwaters move through the soils and the glacial deposits beneath those bedrock and through the bedrock. Before the pollution was emptied onto the lands were doing what they were supposed to do. They had mineral wealth, stable geology, complex geomorphology, healthy wetlands, benthic sediments, and in everything the Mother Earth was supposed to have been present. The lake bottom was rich with life, and the soils around the lake filtered and cleaned the groundwater, which provided clean water to the lake. The land needed to be healed in order for the lake to be healed. We will clean and restore the lands around the lake. Contamination of the lands will no longer pollute the groundwater that flows to the lake, because the wounds of the Mother Earth will be cleansed out so that she can heal. Contaminated soils will be cleaned to the point that the full and proper relationship with the land by the people, plants, animals may be returned again. Groundwater will flow clean, and the land will no longer be smothered by acres upon acres of waste. On this we agree. The waters, we also think. We are thankful that the waters of Onondaga Lake and its tributaries are still performing their duties. Water is the source of life. The lake reflects the sky, and its blue beauty refreshes the people. The waters of Onondaga Lake provide fish, birds, and other animals, small and large, with a place to live. The water can be used for drinking and for making medicines and foods. The waters of the lake will be restored. People will drink the waters, and everyone, especially the children, will swim and play in the lake. The waters of the lake will be reconnected with the surrounding wetlands, and the wetlands themselves will be restored. In this proper relationship, the wetlands will help guard against any future pollution. When the rain falls on Onondaga Lake's watershed, it will follow the natural cycle of the water, collection and use by plants, people, animals, and infiltration into the ground to replenish the groundwater, and aquifers that slowly make their way through the ground to the streams and rivers that flow to Onondaga Lake. We will use green infrastructures, such as vegetated roofs, rain barrels, waters and cisterns for rainwater, harvesting and permeable pavements, green street designs, rain gardens, swales, to let the water reconnect to the ground. We will provide both non-point source pollution, prevent non-point pollution from runoff, as well as point source pollution from the combined sewer overflows. There will be no more sewer overflows into the tributaries of the lake. The long history and damage to Tully Valley from salt solution mining will be addressed, and the root causes will be corrected. Mud boils will no longer pour sediment into Onondaga Creek, and the creek will flow through Onondaga Nation to Onondaga Lake with clear water once again. On this we agree. The fish. We thank the fish for their presence in Onondaga Lake. The lake has always been their home, but we know that the native fish have been absent from the lake. Fish provide food for people, for birds, for other fish, and for animals in the lake. Migratory fishes connect the waters of Lake Onondaga to its tributaries and to the Seneca River and to the Great Lakes. Fish use and live in the sediments of the lake, and with the large and small invertebrates form a community with plants that transform the lake environment. We will work to restore the native fish to Lake Onondaga and its tributaries. The fish will be safe to eat in quantities that sustain life and the Onondaga way of life. Native fish will return and thrive, including whitefish, Atlantic salmon, horned bass, brown trout, or brook trout, not brown trout, sturgeon, and eel. We will restore the habitat for native fish and manage the habitat, including invasive species that are present, so that the fish will thrive. On this we agree. We turn our thoughts to the plants. We are thankful to the plants around Onondaga Lake, which are still performing their duties. Plants provide food, medicine for the people. Different plant communities provide habitat around and in the waters. Water plants, wetlands, emergent wetlands, trees, shrubs. We will work to be sure that the native plants of the area will be found around the lake. In order to heal the lake, the species that originally existed in symbiosis with the lake will be restored. We will restore the relationship between the people and the plants so that the medicinal plants can be honored and used and will thrive. We will honor the changing climate in restoring the lake so that the native species and varieties that have thrived in slightly warmer climates will be present, and we will manage the invasive species responsibly. On this we agree. The food plants. We are grateful that they are there, that there are wild foods around the lake. The land around the lake gives us wild food that our people use daily and enjoyed before they became unsafe or disappeared. In the upland gardens we grew the Three Sisters, corn, beans, and squash. Berry plants fed the people and children while they were at work or play. And wetland plants such as cattails provided tubers and pollen. These foods gave nourishment for strong bodies and minds. We will clean the land around the lake so that the traditional plantings and gardens can be restored. Corn, beans, and squash, berries and fruit trees will be planted, not just for us, but for all of creation. Native wetlands will be restored and will include food and medicinal plants. And we know that the food and medicinal plants will help the land. On this we agree. The animals that we also honor. The animals around Onondaga Lake are carrying out their responsibility, though all are not still present. The bear, the wolf, the turtle, the deer, eel, hawk, beaver, heron, snipe clans of the Haudenosaunee have a deep relationship with these animals and fish and birds. The animals know their responsibility to all of creation, and some of them even sacrifice of themselves, that their lives, so that the rest of creation can go on. The rabbits feed the wolves feed the land. The great cycle will go on, and we are part of that cycle. We will eat the fish and the rabbits and use the fur of the wolf, and it is part of the cycle. This is how it was meant to be. We will clean the land around the lake so that all of our brothers and sisters will be able to thrive. The deer and perhaps even moose and elk will browse the uplands. Turtles, salamanders, and frogs will breed in the waters in and around the lake. Insects will be found in diversity and abundance and will provide healthy food for the animals that rely on them. Shrews, moles, voles, mice will be able to create safe homes in the upland soils. Otter and mink, muskrat and beaver will return. Eels will be restored to Onondaga Lake, and bears and wolves will visit the lake. On this we agree. We next look to the trees that surround us. We are grateful to the trees around Onondaga Lake that still grow and carry out their responsibilities. The trees are a fundamental part of our relationship with the lands around Onondaga Lake. They represent how we should live our lives and protect the lands and people. The land around Onondaga Lake once supported black ash, cedar, willow, elm, butternut, red maple, chestnut, tamarack, and others. We honor the maple as the leader of all trees. The sugar maple is the source of sap, important for ceremonies and sustenance. Black ash gives us material to make baskets, and butternuts give us food. Willow gives us medicines for headaches, and American elm provides medicine and bark for housing, cooking utensils, and ceremonial objects. We will restore native trees around Onondaga Lake and work to keep them healthy. We will try to prevent Dutch elm disease and protect ash from emerald ash borer, and we'll protect the sugar maple from the Asian longhorn beetle and other threats. We will make sure that we create an environment adequate for the trees to help with the cleanup. Poplar, basswood, and other trees take up and destroy organic compounds and lock up the meadows so that they are inaccessible. We will use these trees to help us as we work to restore the lake. On this we agree. We look to the sky and we see the birds, and we give thanks for the birds, both the birds that should be at the lake and the many birds that are there. We celebrate the eagle's flight and the osprey catching the fish, and the song that the songbirds sing, so that our souls may be uplifted. We empower ourselves to restore the habitat and provide housing for the birds while the lake and the land surrounding it recover. Our children will build nest boxes for the ducks and robins and bluebirds and other birds. We will be sure that the wetlands, shorelines, and upland habitats is suitable for native birds that once lived in and around Onondaga Lake. We will listen to the birds in order that we will know when the lake is clean. Herons, bitterns, snipe, osprey, sandpipers, plovers, and other wetlands and shore birds will find a home along the shores of Onondaga Lake. Upland birds like bank swallows and tree swallows, flycatchers, kingfishers, eagles, osprey, owls, hawks will be protected and restored. On this we agree. We celebrate the four winds. We we know that the four winds will challenge us to live upon this world. The north wind will challenge us with the cold winter so that we know we must survive. But the warm south winds will come and make the world, earth fruitful for us. East and west winds have duties at sunrise and sunset. We will show concern for the airshed around the lake. We will continue to monitor the winds and empower ourselves to clean up all of the other areas that add contamination to our lake. We will consider using wind power to fuel the cleanup of the lake, and we will be sure that it is on a small scale so that the birds are not harmed. Weather changes will affect stormwater runoff to the lake, and pollution control measures will be designed to account for these changes. We will honor the contributions of the wind. On this we agree. We turn our minds now to our grandfathers. The thunders are the voices of our grandfathers. The thunders bring the first rain of the spring, wake up the world. The rains replenish the waters of Onondaga Lake and purify the air around us. They also stab the earth with their lightning bolts to keep under the ground those things that should remain there. The grandfathers have not been consulted about the mining of salt from the Tully Valley or the limestone from Jamesville quarries, and they have warned us to be vigilant around these activities. We acknowledge that we have not heeded the grandfathers' warnings. We will clean up the lands around the lake that have been harmed by the waste from salt and limestone, and we will work to correct the subsidences and the mud boils and the fissures in Tully Valley. We will remove the wastes that have been deposited in and around the lake, and we will restore the balance that the grandfathers warned us against disturbing. On this we agree. We turn our minds to the grandmother moon. The grandmother moon is the mother of the Mother Earth and the leader of all women and the bringer of children. Water and reproduction are intrinsically linked, and a healthy water ecosystem leads to healthy children and people. The grandmother moon has the ability to move all the waters of this world, and she gives us the waters of the first environment, the womb. She moves the waters and the tides, and even the small tides of the lake, signal to the fishes that it is time to breed. We will work to restore the balance of the water for the people and future generations, so that the water is free of PCBs, dioxins, and mercury in the water that are linked to the reproductive problems. Balance will be restored between the waters and the people for future generations of women. Onondaga Lake will be part of an environment clean enough for healthy babies to be born under the grandmother moon. On this we agree. We turn our minds to our elder brother, the sun. The sun provides us with warmth and energy for the plants and animals of Mother Earth. He warms the face of the Mother Earth, and we show respect to our elder brother by doing ceremonies in the mornings and evenings. Plants welcome the sun, and it brings joy to our children as we play. The sun gives us energy, and we can transform this energy in many ways, by growing food or by making electricity using photovoltaic cells. The sun warm creates a thermocline in the lake that keeps the layers of water in the lake from mixing at certain times of the year and mixes them at others. These things we can do to help the sun carry out its duties. Due to global warming, the sun's rays are reaching the earth in a way that is harmful to all of us. Global warming and the sun's rays affect the cycles of fish within Onondaga Lake and will change the habitat so that different plants and animals will thrive along its shore. We will work to lessen the impacts of global warming. With our plantings around the lakes, we will provide shade along the shoreline for the trees to take refuge in, and places for animals to take refuge. We will construct habitat layers at the bottom of the lake, and we will build ledges deep in the water where fishes can hide. Whatever population of plants, animals, invertebrates, or other living things come to inhabit Lake Onondaga as a result of the warmth of the sun, we will not be limited in our ability to thrive by the presence of human-induced contamination. On this we agree. Next, we turn our thoughts to the stars. And we show the stars show us the way. The stars add to the waters of the world. And we see them as we see them in the dew in the morning. They are our aunties and uncles, and they shine on the surface of the world and foretell of great events. They give us the awe and splendor of the evening. They instruct us when to plant. We will work to minimize the effects of light pollution so that we will be able to clearly see the stars above Onondaga Lake. We will restore the relationship of people to the stars, above Onondaga to the stars. When people are able to see the constellations, they will know when it is the correct time for planting and other things. And we will protect the animals in and around Onondaga Lake from light pollution. We will follow in the footsteps of the Dark Skies initiatives and install lights that will shine down instead of up on the targets of safety and security of people and property, and use the least energy necessary. People will have a strong relationship with the stars above Onondaga Lake because they can see and learn from them. On this we agree. Throughout history, the enlightened teachers have brought us wisdom to the people. The knowledge of teachers is widespread. Onondaga Lake itself is a teacher with great wisdom. We have to listen also to the small voices in our communities because they bring forth great wisdom. The small minnow is also a teacher. It is a small voice, but it can tell us a lot about the environment. Through all the studies that we are doing around Onondaga Lake, these enlightened teachers will tell us about the lake, and they will give us the prudence we need to make sure that the tasks we want to do are done well. They give us joy. A teacher is a joyful person because the teacher tells us the stories that lighten the heart and make learning easy. The teachers will help us see the joy in the world around us, and by their experiments and studies, we will encourage the enthusiasm of the teachers of the world to communicate the wisdom to us and to our neighbors, and we will store the wisdom of the elders and make sure it can be held and passed on to generations to come. That will be the beauty of this work to heal Onondaga Lake. On this we agree. And now we come to think about all of those things in creation, and we turn our minds to the Creator. And we say that Onondaga Lake is central to the Onondaga Nation Aboriginal territories. It is deeply sacred to the people of the Onondaga Nation. Beauty and tranquility are the gifts of the Creator. The rhythms and cycles of a healthy lake cause the people living around it to reflect on the rhythms and cycles of their own lives. The lake will take care of the community, just as the community will take care of the lake. We will continue to strive for innovation, creativity, and cleaning up the lake. By being creative, we show the Creator that we are learning about our responsibilities are. We don't show that we are responsible by doing the same things over and over, but by being innovative. We will bring our best minds to correcting and restoring Onondaga Lake. We now arrive at a place where we end our words. We would also invite all things of creation that can help us with or effort to clean up Onondaga Lake. We give thanks to all things of creation and all the things we have named. It was not our intention to leave anything out. If there was something that was forgotten, we leave it to each individual to send such greetings and thanks in their own way. Now that we have said this, we will bring together all of our best thoughts and our best knowledge and our best understanding to send to the Creator of all things for the beauty that surrounds us. Our minds are one. Thank you.
heard and our vision, we all work together, we can obtain that for our mother. She's taking good care of us. We got to do the same for her. It was mentioned also that there was an agreement with our people and that we would live side by side. Like that. The river of life. It's in the Pascuenta. One of the first treaties with our people and the newcomers to this land. And we agreed to live alongside each other and work with each other in the river of life. It was a very sacred moment when that agreement came about. Sharing our Mother Earth with all that walk about. The agreement is still alive and well today. Needs some polishing up. And that's our job, to work together to maintain that. Not only benefits us, living side by each on the river of life, because inside of that agreement is the understanding of respect to our Mother Earth. The laws of nature should not ever be broken. And what we take from the earth is what we need. We don't take more than that just because there's more there. Respect for our mother. Sacred waters, we talk about sacred waters. All water is sacred. Every teardrop is sacred. It's a special thing we take for granted because we all have teardrops once in a while. Part of natural law. We hear that the next discussion is going to be on hydrocarbon. Every discussion should be on preventing hydrocarbon. Because every drop is precious. So every teardrop. Pay attention to every drop. Will survive in peace. That's what living is all about. Peace, contentment, not only Onondaga Lake, all waters. All water. It's a small world. And when we travel out, we really see that it is not that big. It's just a long time, it took longer to get there. And all over the world, and the waters are sacred. All the water, because without it, couldn't be there. We all know that. We talk about the history of Onondaga Lake and the sacredness of it. Precedence was set at the front of the lake through the peacemakers of Onondaga, relaying a message to us to live in unity, peace and love and caring each other. Reminded us of being thankful for it. And we carried that. And we shared that. Shared that with people that came from across the seas who were struggling. We shared that with them, that vision that the peacemaker had brought to us. And precedence was set at that time. We shared with them the great law of peace, and set going. And it was the founding word of the United States Constitution. It was based on peacemakers' vision of peace and contentment of the people who walk about one another. And so that precedence traveled all over the world of democracy. The world has contaminated waters here and there. Onondaga Lake is one of the most. We work together on this. Again, at Onondaga Lake shores, we can set precedents to have a glass of water from the lake that we can drink and show the world what we can do when we work together. It's a good thing. It's a very good thing to see all you people here. We look forward to working together. One day we can get the flag. Now Onondaga Lake, with some streams that feed drink that. Seneca.
It was about 5 years ago that the Onondaga Nation filed its land rights action, and at the heart of it was a vision of healing the relationship between the people, land and waters of this area, and the relationship between the peoples of this area. We thought about this program and this opportunity to celebrate the articulation of this vision. We thought about leaders in our community who could respond, who could be in a position to say, well, where I work, the things that I'm doing, and what we do, what is a vision that coincides with yours. So we bring these people together. So we invited 4 people to share their comments, thoughts, responses. Begin with our county executive, first woman county executive we've ever had. Talk about the county and the county's role. John Mahoney, here or there, whatever.
Does it work from here? Can you hear me from here?
No, maybe with that.
Ask my husband. Okay, thank you very much for being here and here representing Onondaga County. And I appreciate very much the Onondaga Nation and the entire vision here today. And thank you, Edwards, for your words. When I got here to this job as county executive, issues, environmental justice, and I think we all could agree that the pump of the CSOs was there at Onondaga Creek, but had the creek run through a different neighborhood, one of the more active neighborhoods in the county, I'm not sure that the solution would have been the same as what we were using for the other. The other issue is with the technology, and that the technology was outdated before it was even put in. I believed we could do better. So the first week that I got came in, unfortunately, the missile plant had already been built. The conveyances are not all connected, but the plant itself had already been built. And unfortunately, there was a neighborhood that was devastated along the way. But we did stop the week that I taught. We did not go forward with the next regional treatment facility that was planned for Armory Square. So our plan was halted, and we went back to the federal court, and we went in a way that I think, the thing that I think would helped us. The thing that I think affected. So the thing, when we went back to the federal court, that I think made us most effective was that we went with the plaintiff in the original lawsuit, Atlantic State's Legal Foundation, who originally sued the county under the Clean Water Act. We went with the plaintiff, we went with the State Department of Environmental Conservation, and EPA also invited Onondaga Nation into the conversation at that time, and we also brought the city of Syracuse. And the fact that those stakeholder groups came together, we formed working committees to focus on a way to think better, and we went as a group to the federal court. I think that the judge, and I still think it's the case, Onondaga County is the only county in the United States that we're working under a consent that now requires us to use green infrastructure. And I'm here with Patty. Patty is the commissioner of WEP, it's our Water Environment Protection. And Patty's the commissioner of my office. One of the things that I think that we can do in county government is to get part of everything that we do. It's not just something that we talk about in our department, but it's part of everything that we do. I had the opportunity to sit with Chief Lyons on more than one occasion and get a very good history, understand of what Onondaga Lake means to the Haudenosaunee and what it means really to our entire community. It's the home of West Oxy. It's the basis of the Constitution of the United States of America. And there is so much history to Onondaga Lake. We as a community should be embracing it and not obviously using it the way it's been used. So I know I only have a few minutes and there's a few other people here, but I'm going to tell you things that Onondaga County is going to do. One is we're going to continue to try to understand the importance of Onondaga Lake. I went with some of the team to the Longhouse. Edward, you were there, and I had a wonderful opportunity to hear the Onondagas about Onondaga Lake. And we have formally brought the Onondaga Nation into the conversation, made them a real part of the conversation about how we're going to clean Onondaga Lake. Move toward green solutions. There still will be gray components, and they will be underground storage. Patty can tell you there's ongoing conversations about separating sewer in strategic areas to try to make the CSOs and reduce the amount that we have to capture overall. But we are now committed to a certain amount of capture through green infrastructure. We're going to need everyone in the community to help us. One of the hurdles that we had to overcome in the federal court was the judge's concern that we're going to commit to green infrastructure when we don't own the land that need the green infrastructure components to be placed on. It's owned by you and other private people in the community, it's owned by some of our institutions, some of our businesses, and how are we as a county government going to commit to green infrastructure? And we consider it to be sort of like Oprah in our recycling program. Onondaga County is among the best in the country in terms of what we recycle, but it's not because of what county government is doing, it's what each individual is doing inside their homes. And we need you to employ green infrastructure inside or on your own property, and each individual's contribution will add up to the whole that will make possible for Onondaga County to slow the stormwater down, stop the CSOs, and clean Onondaga Lake in a more environmentally friendly way. And we're going to do that through an education program that we've called Saving. And if you would go to our website and learn what you can about some of those green infrastructure components, which you heard about the overall vision, but there are things you can do on your property that will help the whole. The other thing that we have done and will continue to do is partner. And in the city of Syracuse, I know our Onondaga County sat with the city government, and we had codes changed so that sidewalks can be made of porous pavement, not traditional concrete that just is a hard surface and water runs right off of it into the storm sewers and contributes to sanitary sewer overflows. We will continue those partnerships. And then the other thing, and I'm happy to answer questions, I'm trying to tell you the big things the county government can do to further this vision. But one of the things is I saw Greg Tripoli here from the Onondaga Historical Association. It is a tremendous resource in people who live here understand the history of the lake and the nation and how it formed the basis for our democracy. And I've had conversations almost the entire time I've been here with the nation, trying to find an appropriate place along the shoreline that can be returned to Onondagas for heritage.
Representatives of community, education, government, and our next speaker is also my boss. But luckily, in the university setting, nobody's actually boss. It's a sad story. But Neil Murphy has done a remarkable job of shifting ESF's attention towards being a really positive environment. Of course, we were before too, but it's very deliberate. And we've asked him to speak about, from the perspective of ESF, and of course many of the people there are working on their aspects of cleanup and understanding of Onondaga. Neil Murphy.
Jack is very much right on the mark. One of the first things I had to learn was, in fact, you are not boss of the faculty. One of the things I very much had to learn very early on is that I am not the boss of the faculty, and in fact, largely take the direction. So, that's right. I want to thank Henry and Nicholas. This vision is inspirational. It's healing, it's comforting, and it certainly suggests the peace of the creative. It's very much the essence. And when you look at water today, we've seen in more the popular media the parallel between water and water as blue gold. And there's substance to that, very much substance to that. We're very lucky in this area of the country that we're blessed with water. But there are many areas on this globe, there are some 1.6 billion people on this globe that don't have access to clean, abundant sources of water. And there are 4,000 deaths every day because of disease transmitted by water. This is special. And just as Henry, the chief editor, said, we have to protect that resource. Have to protect that resource. For me, I've been on Onondaga Lake literally since I was a kid. And that's hard to believe given what I like to call gray hair, but in many respects it's much more white hair today. And I have seen changes in a very positive way. I've seen a lot of very positive kinds of things. I I can remember being out on the lake in 1970 and literally feeling ill because of the odors of chlorobenzene and other kinds of things. I felt ill because of the hydrogen sulfide that was being liberated from the sediments. I felt ill because of the mats of algae that were floating on the lake. I felt ill because I could see the result of the die-off of fish population on the lake. And that was in 1970. Today, we're talking about 40 years since my first experience on the lake. And the lake is much better today. It's more healed today than it was when I first experienced it. And today, for example, if you go out to Willow Bay has a clarity that it's never had before. In many cases, areas of the lake, there's as many as 70 species of fish. But we just started. This is a start. But this healing that has begun, we at ESF are committed to the process of making our environment, whether that environment is global, or whether that environment is round up to be better. Our vision is a better world through environmental discovery. As Joanie said, not just discovery, action. Some of the things that we are both working on and things that we think are going to add value, Henry and the Chief has presented to us, following the revegetation of the waste beds to enhance their biodiversity and actually to create potentially a bioenergy crop in the process, to bring light to those beds. Supporting Onondaga County because the county executive has a superb vision. Supporting the county by demonstrating what is possible through green infrastructure on our own campus, to be a living laboratory of looking at what we can do individually and what we can do collectively. Demonstrating the effectiveness of green roofs, where literally we can turn our stormwater into literally a biosystem that contributes oxygen to the environment. Using that system to reduce the flow or the hydrographic flow of stormwater from our roofs. To look at porous pavement, whether it's porous concrete or whether it's an asphalt composite, and trying to both implement and measure what that can do to help us move in the direction of our aggregate vision. And look at rain gardens in terms of what stormwater do to bring our biosystems to life, to help restore and regenerate our water supplies. This is all part of Henry and Chief Edwards and the county executive's vision. We have to demonstrate what is possible, we have to teach what is necessary, and we have to do the research that's required to bring these kinds of technologies to life. We also have a responsibility to assist the city. We're very lucky the city of Syracuse has a very strong urban forestry. And that's a strong asset to the community. But it's not as strong as it has the potential to be. And so working with the city and working with the consultants of the city and working with all you, we're committed to enhance that urban forestry and assist the county in developing its sustainable plan. We also, it is necessary for us to look, as in the vision that was presented, how we can revegetate the aquatic system to make basically sediments a stronger and more vibrant sediments to support basically the fisheries, but also look at the terrestrial systems, as Henry had presented, to make those systems be native to us and make those systems do what those systems, as designed by the Creator, has the potential to do. Sequester carbon through photosynthesis to create oxygen, to help shade our near waters on the lake or creeks, so it will support those brook trout that we want to have. Because those brook trout don't like warm water, they like cooler water. It is our trees that shade and bring the cooler waters to support their systems. We also have a responsibility and have the expertise to honor the improvement of the fisheries of Onondaga Lake. And there is no one more committed or no one that has a dream other than hammering the cheese, to bring back whitefish to Onondaga Lake. The whitefish have been gone too long, and we need to bring them back. And we have the ability to bring them back, but we need to monitor, need to look at how we can supplement nature in order to bring those fish back to the way it was. We also have the responsibility to show what Brother Sun can do. On the face of this globe, the sun in 1 hour presents to the earth, to Mother Earth, all the energy that men and women need on the face of this globe in 1 hour through the energy of the sun for what would be required to be consumed in a year. We need to demonstrate, and we're committed to demonstrate, what we can do to harness that, both mimicking basically nature and what nature does through photosynthesis. We're also looking to develop thin film photovoltaic technology. We're committed to the dream that our shingles can literally create the energy to drive our homes. We're committed to the sun as basically the ultimate provider of energy. We believe that the improvement of our air quality, our water quality, our aquatic ecosystems, our terrestrial ecosystems, our urban ecosystems is a journey, much like the journey that was described here tonight. It can only be accomplished by a clear vision, strong partnership, as the county executive has suggested, passion to implement and respect those ecosystems and bring them to life. And most important, I think, respect. And I'm confident that as we go forward together in a partnership, our aggregate ecosystem that sustains us will thrive and will be much better. I thank all of you. I particularly thank Henry. Henry, that was awesome. And also Chief Edwards. Chief, your remarks are both soothing and supportive. So thank you all.
I love that our city has a sustainability coordinator. And he's here also, working with the city of Syracuse as sustainability coordinator, and in Maxwell.
Thanks, Jack. And thanks to everyone. First thing I'd like to do is thank the organizers of this event for having me as your guest tonight, and deliver the regrets of Mayor Stephanie Miner, who couldn't be here this evening. But if she were here, I know that she would agree with me when I say that this vision, as very beautifully articulated tonight, is achievable. This vision is achievable if we work together. And a word that really strikes me in this vision is the word relationship. And I mean that in a couple ways. First, in the sense of partnership, which I think is critical, and we've heard that from County Executive Mahoney and Dr. Murphy tonight as well. The partnerships that we have and that we're building in this community are critical to achieving the vision that was articulated here tonight. I've had the pleasure since the beginning of the year in working very closely with County Executive Mahoney's team on the green infrastructure projects that she described. We're working very closely, very frequently with her team in helping to facilitate the many projects that they want to complete this year, and will be completing in the coming months and years to meet their many goals. Also, the partnership that we have with Dr. Murphy and our friends at ESF, the partnership that he mentioned in developing a sustainability plan for the city of Syracuse. That's something we're very excited about. We believe strongly that, to put my planning hat on for a moment, that in order to achieve the goals that we have for sustainability, we do need a very strategic and coordinated plan for achieving those goals. Part of my responsibility as sustainability director for the city is working with those partners and making sure that sustainability really is an essential part of all that we do in city government. It's a part of our operations every day. I work very closely with, and some would say bother, the many department heads and commissioners throughout city government. We're working very closely all the time to see how we can green the city's operations, and we're working very hard on that every day to make that part of what we do. I also, that word relationship also strikes me in regards to Onondaga Creek, and I'd like to speak a little more specifically about the creek. The city has been implementing a creek walk plan over the last year or more, and we hope that we will have another phase of the creek walk completed this year, and that's something that we're very passionate about. And I think it's perhaps easy for some to turn a blind eye to the kind of pollution that we've seen with Onondaga Creek and Onondaga Lake when you don't have a relationship to that creek. Over the decades, not only has the creek been polluted, but it's been isolated. We've channelized the creek, we've fenced off the creek, and when you don't have a relationship with that body of water, you don't think of yourself as a waterfront community, and you don't see that as something that's a part of your life, a part of your world. And when kids don't grow up in this city with that creek as a part of their lives, they don't think about it as something that it can really be special to them. And that's something that we want to see change. As we work with the county, as we work with all our partners, as we work to develop the creek walk, we want to make sure that we're facing the creek again, not turning our back to the creek, that we're facing it once again, that we're cherishing it, and really developing that very personal relationship with it. And we think that if we do that, we can make cleaning the creek, cleaning the lake, really investing in the health of the creek and the lake, something that everyone in this community wants to be a part of. They think of the creek and the lake as part of their home, part of their life. And I believe if we do that, we can really make some significant strides, as we have made in this community. So I do want to thank all the organizers of this event, very special event, to hear this very well articulated vision, a beautiful vision that I'm very excited to be a partner in helping achieve. So thank you.
It's great that we have Meredith, Perreault on one end and Henry Lippers on this end, because they're both two examples of scientists who do science on behalf of the people and on behalf of the land. Meredith works with the Onondaga Environmental Institute, which is an organization in our community. She's a senior scientist there. Organization in our community that has given much of its time and effort to this whole effort in the last 4 or 5 years of bringing together the community around the vision of Onondaga Creek and Onondaga Lake. Meredith?
Thank you. It's really an honor to be here. I consider myself really lucky to be able to sit at this table. This is a historic and important turning point for our community, and I know that I'm just incredibly lucky to be able to be here and participate and be able to think about this, talk about it with really great people. So I appreciate this opportunity. It's great the mic is stuck to the table. So do it. That's awesome. Thank you, Dr. for trying it out.
Watch the water,
Dr. Take back down. Okay. So thanks everybody. This isn't my usual thing, so forgive me if I'm a little bit soft-spoken. I stumble over my words. I'm cheating. So again, I'm very happy to be here, and I know I'm very fortunate. Onondaga Environmental Institute has been working on issues around our local waterways
like to be able to talk a little bit about is that I was, again, in this fortunate place to work on the Onondaga Creek Conceptual Revitalization Plan project, which we worked on all the way really from around 2005 to 2009. And one of the major findings, after talking to lots and lots of people who cared very deeply about Onondaga Creek, we discovered, and they always knew they were there, but this wonderful constituency of people who just really care passionately about the creek. And we worked together for years with the Onondaga Creek Working Group and then the many community members that came out to tell us. And what we asked them to do is to share their vision about Onondaga Creek, their goals, what they'd like to see happen. And that was a powerful and fascinating moment for Onondaga Creek for us to be able to get together and speak about the creek that way. And I think it has been really important for our community. So the major finding of the creek plan was that the vision is for a clean and natural waterway with healthy fisheries and recreation opportunities. And while we might say, well, no surprise, but what a neat moment that was for us to be able to get together and talk about that, because now we have the ability to think differently about our relationship to Onondaga Creek, and we know what we want to see. And so visions are really important. One of the things that I get to do in my job is attend these really neat breakfast meetings where people from Onondaga, people from ESF, and others of us nonprofit worker bees and a few other folks get together for breakfast and talk about Onondaga Lake. And I'm so happy to be there because I've learned so much. And one of the things that I've learned and that I just wanted to share along for you is that visions are very powerful tools. And they give us a long-term look at what we truly want, and they can be a guiding principle. So now we know what we want to work towards, all of us together. And I think the Onondaga Nation vision for Onondaga Lake is such a wonderful example because it helps us understand and clarify our responsibility for what I think is raising ourselves to the task of long-term decision-making that needs to occur for true restoration. And in this vision is such important, this is another thing I get to learn at my breakfast meetings, but this vision has such critical, important, traditional ecological knowledge here that helps us understand it's this heritage of knowledge that will help us work towards this long-term and critical task of restoration. So, Onondaga Environmental Institute, speaking for the organization I work for, I hope that our works will support the nation's vision by engaging the community in articulating its vision and in understanding our role and reconnecting ourselves to the lake as part of our community, such an important part of our community, and that's really very clear as we heard tonight. It's really, really clear in this vision. I think that the vision can help us find a place of involvement where we can figure out how to work together. As the county executive talked about green infrastructure, we need to be able to work together. If we're going to make green infrastructure work for the long term, we need to be able to all be engaged in working on it, even in our own homes, but within our communities, in open spaces and public spaces. We all need to be working together for green infrastructure. This is critical for our healthy streams and for a healthy lake. It's essential. I guess in my position as working for a nonprofit, I get to say things that are maybe more abstract and maybe a little less popular. But one of the things that I might put out to everyone who loves Onondaga Lake, and there's so many of us, is that have to challenge ourselves for truly working together. And I think that this could be pretty significant for our community. I think for those who don't feel included in the current decision-making around Onondaga Lake, we need to find a way to reach a level of decision-making where we can contribute to this. And that's why I think contributing your own vision can help you engage in decision-making, because it's at a level that you can. Because that's what we certainly found with Onondaga Creek, is that people were very excited to come out and say what they wanted to see for the future. And when people feel like they're being heard and consulted at that very fundamental level, I think that's a really powerful moment. And I'd really like to see that happen on a very broad scale for our community. And that may be somewhat controversial, because there has been work that's gone on before where there's a number of stakeholders around Onondaga Lake have been consulted about what they'd like to see. What I'm advocating for is a truly inclusive and broad involvement, because to me I see that as our vehicle for reconnecting ourselves to Onondaga Creek and Onondaga Lake. I just think that's essential. I really firmly believe that the status quo of what we have now can't remain. The task that we have at hand is really too large. When we're talking about restoration for the lake, the task is large, and to me, it's also very urgent. And I think that requires us to find ways to work together in ways we maybe have never, many of us have never imagined before, where we really need to find ways to get seats at the table, looking eye to eye, and really speaking and feeling like we can contribute and be able to feel like we've been heard. So I think that OEI can be involved in that work, because it was powerful for Onondaga Creek, and I think it can be the same for Onondaga Lake, and it can give us something, a guide to work towards for the future. Because restoration is what really needs to happen, and that's what this is about. And we need to work together to do that, and we also need to prepare our children to do that. Because of climate change, the world of, so if you know someone 5 and under, climate change is going to make their world look really, really different from ours. And it's our job, it's our responsibility to prepare them for that world, and we need to give them the tools to do that. And that's what true restoration work can help us do, and it's also a way that we can reconnect and engage with the lake and really have a relationship with each other at Onondaga Lake. And then, thanks for your questions. And then, so I feel like this, in some ways, this work will be really difficult for us to do. It may be the hardest work that we ever do, really listening to each other, but it could be some of our finest work. If we choose to really take this on, we really choose to work towards the vision, that this could be truly, truly fine work for our community. To me, the nation has opened a door with this vision, and I hope that we're ready to go through. I don't know how many doors the nation has opened for us over the hundreds of years, and how many we have not figured out how to get ourselves through. And so, one more point. I'm sorry, but just one more thing. I see the lake as well, it is. The lake is a sacred focal point for an entire
of these evenings of the series that the discussion groups afterwards have been very powerful, and some important things have come out of them, some innovative ideas and some new work. So tonight, after a little bit of time of the reception, you'll hear somebody, it might be me, stand up on a chair and direct you to where the different discussion groups are going to be. Before we end tonight, I want to give Henry and Chief Edwards some final words, and then we're going to have our reception and we'll have our discussion groups.
Always difficult to figure out who's going to go first or not. And you've done a horrible thing. You've given a Seneca a mic and an audience to talk to. That's a dangerous thing as well. I'm very pleased to be here, like I said in the beginning. I think when all of us get together, when we assemble like this, and we hear the good words that are spoken by everyone around us, it makes our hearts feel very good, and we enjoy that camaraderie that we sit together. And I could give you a small story about this vision. Of course, as mere males in the Haudenosaunee, we were talking about this vision and things that we should be doing, and talking about all of the great issues of the world. But it was our women that said, yes, we understand that, but what are you going to do? And you see that in the vision, there's a description of how the world is and what the responsibilities are. But we end always in the end of the vision in any one of the sections that says, this is what we are going to do. We were asked, how long will it take? It'll take as long as it takes. We know that in this day and age, we look to finance and we look to these things and the people and the progress around us to see how fast we can do it. The Onondagas have been here for many thousands of years, and they'll continue to be here for many thousands of years after. So our long-term plan will be fulfilled. We hope that you as our neighbors will be with us at that time. Thank you.
Well, there's a lot of information going out there tonight. It's good to hear all of it. It's encouraging. It's encouraging to feel that support sitting up here and to look out and feel the support from all of you. It's a real good feeling. I know we are directed toward one. Our minds are directed toward one. And that's what it's all about, unity. Let me go ahead and what we go ahead. Our minds as one. We work together and we can accomplish any of this. Set precedent. The whole wide world will look here at Onondaga again and see that precedent of peace. I'd like to offer one thing tonight before we close up the session is, I'm no doctor, but I know how precious and beneficial water is. And you hear it from all the health people all over the world. Drink 8 glasses of water a day. I encourage all of you to take that advice. And as you're doing it, each and every sip, that precious water, give a thanksgiving in your own mind, like what Henry said toward the end, on the other end, when he finished up with, if you left anything out, and you put it together in your mind, in your way, I encourage you, give thanks